There are about 12,500 nuclear warheads on Earth right now. That's enough to end human civilization roughly 50 times over. And yet, only 9 countries have ever managed to build one. So here's the real question. It's not, how do you build a nuclear bomb? Brilliant scientists figured that out in 1945. The real question is, why did some countries desperately want one? Some quietly got one, and one country built 6 bombs and then gave them all up? This isn't really a story about physics. It's a story about fear, pride, and the lengths a nation will go to feel safe. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to the very beginning, to the country whose fear started the entire chain reaction. It starts in 1942 with a fear that turned out to be wrong, but nobody knew that yet. American scientists were terrified. Nazi Germany was racing to build an atomic bomb first. So the US launched the Manhattan Project. 130,000 people, 3 secret cities, and a price tag of about $2 billion. Somewhere around $30 billion today. Think of it like this. It's as if an entire country quietly built a new industry from scratch. Factories, towns, supply chains. And almost nobody outside it knew it existed. On July 16, 1945 in New Mexico desert, the Trinity test was successfully completed. That was the first man-made sun on Earth. 3 weeks later, the US dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the nuclear age officially began. But here's where it gets complicated. Building the bomb wasn't the hard part anymore. Keeping the secret was. And the US would fail at that almost immediately. That secret didn't stay secret for long, and the country that broke it first was the one America feared most. American scientists assumed the Soviets were 5, maybe 10 years behind, but they tested their first bomb in just 4 years, August 1949. But how? A German-born physicist named Klaus Fuchs was working inside the Manhattan Project itself and quietly handed Moscow the design secrets of the implosion bomb. Declassified US intelligence, the Venona decrypts, later confirmed exactly how deep this espionage network ran. Historians estimate it shaved 1 to 2 years off the Soviet timeline. Now the American framing is, the Soviets stole the bomb. But from Moscow's side, the calculation was simpler. The US had just demonstrated it would use this weapon, and the USSR couldn't survive being the only side without one. Fear mirrored right back. That's the official story of how the Cold War's arms race began. The real story is that it never really stopped. It just changed countries. The Cold War's fear didn't just spread to enemies, it spread to allies too. Starting with the country that helped build the bomb in the first place. Britain had helped build the American bomb. Then in 1946, the US passed the McMahon Act and cut its own ally off completely. No more shared nuclear data, not even with the country that helped build it. Britain's response in 3 words: fine, we'll do it alone. By October 1952, they tested their own device off the coast of Australia. The lesson Britain learned, and one almost every country on this list would relearn, is that even allies won't share the ultimate weapon. Britain wasn't the only ally left standing alone. A few years later, France would get humiliated on the world stage and walk away with the exact same lesson. France learned the same lesson the hard way during the 1956 Suez Crisis, when the US pressured both Britain and France to back down militarily, humiliating them on the world stage. Charles de Gaulle's answer became the foundation of French strategy for the next 60 years. The force de frappe, meaning strike force. The idea was simple. If your safety depends on someone else's promise, you're not actually safe. France tested its first bomb in the Sahara in 1960 and never looked back. While France was going it alone on the other side of the world, a very different kind of nuclear story was unfolding. One that started with help, not humiliation. China's story flips the script. In 1957, the Soviet Union actually helped China start its program. Advisors, designs, even uranium. Then in 1960, the Sino-Soviet relationship collapsed, and Moscow pulled every advisor out overnight. China kept building anyway. October 16, 1964. First test at Lop Nur. The Council on Foreign Relations points to this exact moment as a textbook proliferation lesson. Helping a rival a little can backfire completely once the friendship ends. China's test in the desert of Lop Nur sent a shockwave straight to its southern border, to a country that had just watched a rival join the nuclear club. May 18, 1974. India tests a device and calls it a peaceful nuclear explosion. Read that again. A peaceful explosion. Nobody, including India's neighbors, believed that for a second. Pakistan certainly didn't. A metallurgist named A.Q. Khan stole centrifuge designs out of Europe and built a secret enrichment facility at Kahuta. By May 1998, Pakistan had its own bomb too. And the Khan network later went on to leak nuclear technology to Iran, Libya, and North Korea, making it possibly the most damaging proliferation case in history. This is the clearest pattern in the entire video. One country's deterrent becomes the next country's nightmare. Not every country wanted the world watching when they crossed that line. One country chose to never confirm it at all. Israel has never officially confirmed having nuclear weapons. Not once. This strategy even has a name: opacity. But in 1986, a former Dimona reactor technician named Mordecai Vanunu smuggled photographs to a British newspaper, providing the first real evidence of the program. Estimated today at somewhere between 80 and 400 warheads. Vanunu spent 18 years in prison for it. If Israel's strategy was silence, the next country on this list is its exact opposite: loud, defiant, and impossible to ignore. North Korea signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty in 1985, then withdrew in 2003. Its first test, in 2006, barely worked. Its sixth, in 2017, was claimed as a hydrogen bomb with roughly 100 to 250 kilotons of force, more than 10 times Hiroshima. For Pyongyang, the bomb isn't really a weapon. It's a survival policy, proof that no foreign power can risk forcing regime change. Whether you agree with that logic or not, it's the logic that's kept the program alive through decades of sanctions. Every single country so far chased the bomb and held on to it. What happens next breaks that pattern completely. In the 1980s, apartheid-era South Africa secretly built 6 nuclear weapons, fearing isolation and regional threats. Then, between 1989 and 1991, as the country prepared to transition away from apartheid, President F.W. de Klerk did something no nation has done before or since. He ordered every single weapon dismantled. The International Atomic Energy Agency physically verified it. 6 completed weapons, 1 partial, all destroyed. To this day, South Africa remains the only country to build the bomb voluntarily and then give it up completely. Which brings us back to the question sitting underneath this entire story. Every country on this list got the bomb chasing the same 2 things: fear of being attacked or pride in not being pushed around, sometimes both at once. But South Africa proves something genuinely amazing. That pattern isn't a law of physics, it's a choice. A country can build the most destructive weapon in human history and still choose to set it down. Right now, 9 countries hold roughly 12,500 warheads between them. The Non-Proliferation Treaty, signed in 1968, has actually held that number far lower than Cold War-era scientists once predicted. It's an imperfect system. It is, by any honest measure, still fragile. But every year it holds is a year the South Africa option stays on the table for someone else too. So, here's a question worth sitting with. Which country do you think dismantles its arsenal next? And which one do you think builds one for the first time? Write it in the comment. And thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.